YouTube, what's good? It's your boy Vince Cartier. Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to create fuller melodies. Now, have you ever been listening to the radio and you wondered, why doesn't my melody sound like that? How can I get that clean, sweet, mesh, melodic, advanced melodies? How can I get my melodies to sound full? If you have had that question, let me tell you something. I'm going to show you how you can get your melody from sounding like this to sounding like that. I know that I'm going to be using a particular DAW. The DAW that I will be using is Logic Pro X. Even though you may be using FL Studio, Ableton, Pro Tools, Studio One, the same concepts can still apply even if you're using those other particular DAWs. Alright, let's get into the video. Okay, so the very first thing that you want to do, guys, is you want to make sure that you have a very basic piano open up. And the piano that I'm going to be using is the Piano V2 by Arturia. And I'm going to tell you why we're using the piano is because the piano is set up into different sections, right? You have the middle section of the piano, you have the higher section of the piano, and you have the very lower section of the piano. We can then disassemble that and then assign those different melodic parts that we assign to the piano to different instruments. First things first, let's make sure that we have the scale down, and then afterwards we'll get on to the rest of it. First thing is we're going to write out the scale, and the scale is going to be C minor, C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C. A C minor, C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C. That's the first step. Second step is we're going to start off with a chord progression. And what a chord progression is just a cycle of chords that's going to be repeated. We're going to create a chord progression from the scales that we have right present in front of us. The progression that we're going to use is 4, 5, and 6. We have C is 1, D is 2, E flat is 3, F is 4. If each and every one of those numbers can have a number assigned to it, and the numbers that we'll be using is numbers 4, 5, and 6. So that's our progression, 4, 5, and 6. Let's move on to the next thing. We're going to copy and paste what we have, and we're going to bring it down a whole octave. Let's hear the result. In step 3, we're just going to add notes on top of the notes that we already have. I simply brought this region down underneath the progression that we already have, and I'm going to mute everything in this section. Okay, now I'm going to shift to join the regions together so I'm able to see what's on top and what's on bottom. Copy and paste this upwards so I can just have more notes to choose from if I needed it. This is just going to be our ghost channel. We're going to be using this as a reference to get our notes from, or in the progression that we have on top of it. I'm looking at all of the notes right here. Now I'm going to select every other note from the very first bass note that we selected. And this is going to be the first note that was in the progression. Remember the 4, right? This is going to be our F. And then we choose another note above that, which is A flat. And we're not going to choose this note, we're going to choose this note because it's every other note. Now we're going to do the same thing for every other note that we have here inside of the first progression, which was the F, the G, and the A flat. This was our original progression, and we're going to choose a chord for each and every one of those notes. All right, so we have the first chord already. Now let's choose the next note. So this is G, so it wouldn't be this note because this isn't the every other note. It wouldn't be that note because this note is not a part of the scale. So it has to be this note because this note is a part of the scale, the G. Now the next note above that, it wouldn't be this note because this isn't the next every other note. All right, the every other note from this note would have been this note. Our next note, it's not going to be this note, it's going to be this note. Is our C. The next note is our E. So this is the simple progression of 4, 5, 6, and that's our progression. Let's move on to the next thing. Part is what we're going to do is we're going to now sing the melody, okay, that we're going to have. So we have our bass notes, we have our chords. Now we're going to sing some melody notes in order to make this progression more melodic. And if you're wondering why we're going to sing, even though most of you may not be singers, I'm not the best of singer either. The reason why we sing is because we want to give our melodies a human-like feel, okay? Think about it. When a person is getting on this beat, they're listening for that human element. If we're in here just clicking in notes all the time, I mean, that's cool and everything, but it needs to have that human attachment to it. When you get on these instruments, sometimes it can limit you, all right, because you may not know how to play a particular thing. But if you can definitely sing it, you can for surely be able to put it inside of your DAW. That is why we sing our melodies. Let's start singing. Listen to it. Da 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 da. Da 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 Right, here we go. And we're almost there, guys. After this section, we're going to break up this melody and then we're going to transfer it to other instruments. We're going to come up with a counter melody for the melody that we have. So, then you repeat it again. Right? So let's put that. Now it's time to break apart the melody, and now we're going to find different instruments to assign these different parts to. The very first thing is I'm just going to delete all of the chords, and I'm just going to keep the top. Let's find something that's going to bring out that part. Let's add some chords to that. All right, it's coming together, guys. I like that. Now, let's put a bass note down. I don't like how the flute is fitting with everything. Let's find another melody. That's dope, bro. And this is our melody. For this last step, just for a simple arrangement, what we're going to do is we're just going to spice up the loop a little bit. I'm going to use this plugin called Shaperbox. I love this plugin so much because it has so much different effects to it. Here is the effect that we may select. Right, we could have that going for the intro. Then after the intro, we could bring in our main melody with the drums. Main loop. Right. Then 5 verses. You just have the chords playing. Then you bring in your bass note. Right, that's pretty dope. You always want to keep the listener guessing, like what's going to happen next. Okay guys, so that's pretty much the whole video. I really hope that you got those gems inside of the video. Remember, our first step was we had to come up with a progression. The second step was we had to double the progression, double those bass notes. The third step was we had to sing a melody on top of the progression. And the fourth step was we had to add chords to the progression that was already there. And the fifth step was we had to add a counter melody to what we did. And all of those elements, once you put them together, it gives you a fuller sound like the one that we had inside of our video. So I really hope that you guys were impacted by this lesson, and until the next time, I'm going to see you all later. Peace.